Cable, you can get Fubo TV and watch the live sports and TV you love. Try free at FuboTV.com.
You're listening to the Armchair GM Sports Network.
This is Rod Mahood, your in-game voice of the Niagara IceDogs, and you're listening to the Dog Pound Podcast on the Armchair GM Sports Network, your podcast source for all game analysis, team interviews, and up-to-date news regarding the Niagara IceDogs.
Perlini! Overtime! IceDogs win!
Hosing! Score!
To Akil Thomas. Thomas has the angle coming in. He scores!
Verhaeghe does it again! 52.1 seconds to go. Do you love it, Niagara?
Welcome into another Niagara IceDogs game recap on New Year's Eve against the Guelph Storm. Brandon Caputo and Cam Halbert are with you following the IceDogs' big 6-5 overtime victory here to end the 2023 calendar. Guys, the Dog Pound Podcast is proudly brought to you by Global Pet Foods, where pets are undeniably part of the family. Visit any four of their great Niagara Region locations. Make sure you're giving us some love on whatever audio platform you're listening to us today. And give us some love on our Twitter account at Dog Pound Podcast for all updates on our IceDogs coverage. As well, all of our weekly IceDogs articles are on armchairgmsports.com. So, with that said, we're going to get to Ben Boudreau in the postgame later on in the episode, as well as Ethan Czata, our player interview, after scoring 2 goals tonight en route to victory. So, a big game, Cam, for the IceDogs after 2 really tough losses. You know, giving up a 10 spot in Owen Sound, and then, you know, a tough game in Erie where they lost 5-3 with the empty netter. Just couldn't get the momentum. Seemed like Erie scored every time the IceDogs would get one on the board. So this was a very tough Guelph Storm team, 4th place in the Western Conference, a very sound team. Daniel Fitzgerald was back in the building, IceDogs former head coach, now an assistant with the Guelph Storm. General thoughts on what you thought of the IceDogs' performance tonight?
Man, absolutely fantastic performance from the IceDogs. It was gritty. These two teams just did not like each other. There was animosity between every whistle, and on the bench, both teams were giving it to each other. And honestly, just as a hockey fan, just a really, really fun game to watch, and great for the IceDogs to end 2023 on a big dub against Guelph.
Absolutely, and if you can hear background noise, the IceDogs having their annual New Year's Eve skate with all the players greeting the fans. It's a great scene here at the Meridian Center the night of recording. So we'll get to our game stats today, brought to you by J&O Flooring. If you think you can get a better deal anywhere else, you know Jack. Contact our Niagara Falls location. Begin your quality flooring project today. As far as the shots on net, I mean, Cam, you were like, you looked at the scoreboard after the third period and said, wow, I can't believe they came all the way back, because Guelph outshot the IceDogs pretty handily through the first 2 periods, but in the third period, the IceDogs outshot the Storm 19-9 and ended up with a 2 in overtime. So they outshot the Storm at the end of the day 34-33.
Actually incredible, considering that second period might have been one of the IceDogs' worst of the season. I don't know what was said in between periods, but obviously it was massive in the room because the team looked flat in the second. They gave up a goal with, I believe, 0.1 second remaining in the period, and just it did not look like they had an answer. And like I said, there was just the Guelph Storm team on the bench was just giving it to Flores, the IceDogs as a whole, the entire way, and it felt like the IceDogs were just kind of playing into that, not really in the game as much. And, man, that third period was exactly what they needed and just stunned everybody.
It absolutely did. As far as the special teams go, Guelph 2 for 6 on the man advantage. Niagara only 1 home power play, which is very odd to see here in the Ontario Hockey League. Guelph 2 for 6, so consider the IceDogs 4 for 6 on the penalty kill tonight. And Guelph, you know, they're a solid team. They've got some very elite players like Jet Luchenko on their power play unit. So if you're the IceDogs, would you take 2 of 6?
I mean, you have to. And that third one might have been, you know, the goalie was coming out anyways. Obviously, really tough. They were in kind of just a clear mode at the end of the game when they had the lead 5-4 in the third. So obviously you don't want to see that. I think it was Wysick took a penalty very late with about 2 minutes to go in the game that ended up being the tying goal. But I think that, there was a few calls that definitely could have gone the Ice Dogs' way that just weren't early on. And it felt like because the game was getting so chippy, we saw a fight in this game as well. It was a little weird. They didn't start calling anything until halfway through. And by that point, there have already been a few calls that could have gone the Ice Dogs' way.
And the face-offs, obviously the Ice Dogs, we haven't talked about the lineup yet, but without their top three centers and Alex Asadorian, Gavin Bryant, Mike Podolou, the face-offs were 46-28 in favor of Guelph. So, Guelph really dominated on the face-off dot. But we'll get to Ben Boudreau later in the postgame where I ask him directly about this. But you pointed it out to me right away, and I didn't even realize it when I looked at the lineup. But 3 16-year-olds as your top three centers. They put Robrick, Czata, and Galyanov as the three centers tonight. I don't know if there's another team in the Ontario Hockey League that's running 3 16-year-olds as their top three centers.
And we won. It was. We've been talking about this for quite some time. That love to see Rubrick get a shot at center, just to see because of his size and as you watch him play and he gets a little bit better defensively and more engaged in terms of physically, he's got all the tools to be a great center in the league. And Czata has really come along as well. He's had a little bit of run at center throughout, especially on the penalty kill. He's been very, very good. But it was crazy to see all three of those guys be your top three centers. And, we don't know how long that'll be the case for with the trade deadline looming. Absolutely.
Trade deadline coming up on January 10th. So we'll get to our scoring summary tonight, brought to you by the Niagara Employment Help Center, helping people find work in Niagara since 1983. Check out their up-to-date job board at ehc.on.ca to find your next work opportunity today. Again, there was 11 goals scored in this game, so we're only going to talk about the Ice Dog goals, although they were nice and jumbled for us as far as having a few Ice Dog goals here, some Guelph Storm goals here, and some Ice Dog goals to cap it off. So start off, Ethan Czata from Brody Crane and Mike Levin. Very nice tip by Ethan Czata, and at the time, his second goal in the last two games.
No, absolutely. And it just goes to show. Ben talks this a little bit about this in our postgame with him, but he definitely looks like he's a lot more confident on offense. It obviously had not really been a focal point of his game so far. He definitely been a bit more on the defensive side of things, a little more physical, especially compared to Rubrick. But that was driving to the net, stuck on the ice, and I believe it was Brody Crane who fired a dot that was just an absolutely perfect pass shot for that situation. A great read by Czata and a big 1-0 lead.
It was at the time. 11:15 was the time of that goal, and then late in the first period, another guy that's caught fire, Kevin He, with his 18th goal of the season after scoring a snipe of a shot last night in Erie. There aren't many players in the league that are going to pick that spot like he did in Erie last night, but Kevin He with his 18th goal, assisted by Daniil Sobolev, and the Ice Dogs, obviously star rookie last year, after a very slow start for him goal-wise, he's catching fire.
Oh, yeah, and you can definitely tell that he has one of the best shots in the league, and we're going to talk about him just a little bit after this one, but this was a fantastic power move, held off the defender, one hand, drives it right past the goalie and fired it in. He is much more dominant with the puck and physically without it as well, and this was a goal that definitely showed off his skating as well as his ability to hold defenders off with one hand, and just a really impressive move by him to make it 2-0, which is impressive because the first period, the first half of it was dominated by Guelph. It looked like the Ice Dogs were coming out with a really slow start, and Czata and he got a big couple of goals in the first and really changed their fortune.
Yeah, and the Ice Dogs had a lead 2-0 going to the second period, and that's when things started to turn because we can't stress enough, this is a very solid Guelph Storm team under Chad Wiseman. This is as sound of a team that you're going to find. Fourth place in the Western Conference right now. They do everything well, and even without guys like Cam Allen, who's a Washington Capitals draft pick, he hasn't been in the lineup all year long, and not getting Matt Poitras back as he's up with the Boston Bruins, those are two big losses, and it's still, a very sound team, and they showed it with 4 goals in that second period. Jet Luchenko and Jake Carabello, just to name a few, but a very talented Storm team, and, the Ice Dogs, pun intended, weathered the storm in the second.
No, for sure. And, yeah, even without Cam Allen, they still have 4 NHL drafted players that were in the lineup. And not to mention, like, Braden Bowman is just a just a load to deal with. Every time that we've seen him so far, he has just been involved physically, everything. And Will McFadden, the draft pick from this year, he doesn't have a lot of points this season. But I mentioned to you in the first period that he looked like the most impressive forward of the group, and he's, I believe, on the fourth line for Guelph. So just a great job all around. The team is very, very difficult to deal with. That is a team that in the playoffs will be a hard out. And that was without their starting goaltender, Braden Gillespie, who is legitimately the best statistical goaltender in the OHL.
Yep.
So it's going to be awfully tough. And something we haven't talked about, but I'm all again just not clear on if it's going to happen or not. But Boston sending Patra to the World Juniors is interesting because everyone knows that once you play your 9 games, it starts your entry-level deal, right? So he stayed up and didn't. He's played about, I believe it was like 25, 26 before he got sent down. Before his 39th, he can get sent back down again, I believe.
Yeah, without having that extra year of UFA.
Of arbitration.
Yep.
So there could be a real potential shot that if he doesn't stick with the Bruins, who are still in first place, by the way, and they're obviously going to add at the deadline in the NHL, we could see Guelph get Patra back, and then they've got a legit NHL player in their lineup, like a starting NHL player, obviously. So it's going to be tough for teams in the Western Conference.
Yeah, I mean, if they get Poitras back, I'm going out on a limb. They're my team out of the Western Conference, but we'll save that for another day. But, yeah, they scored 4 goals here in the second period, and the Ice Dogs were down 4-2 going into the third. And that's when the Ice Dogs battled back with 3 goals of their own. Daniil Sobolev from Mike Levin and Andrew Vermeulen started it off. That backhand that kind of fooled the goaltender. I think he just didn't really know from that angle with Sobolev cut down the left wing and put it backhand far side.
I mean, it's interesting because there is nowhere else he could have put that to score, just in the angle that he was in. Backhands are the hardest shot as a goaltender to read, obviously. But Sobolev he had one choice there to put it on net, and he just put it in the exact perfect spot. But I would talk a little bit about the answer there. The way that Guelph scored 4 straight. And again, like I mentioned earlier in the episode, that they were just giving it to Flores and the Ice Dogs, just chirping them on the bench. And it was impressive to see the guys battle back and just, answer the bell. This last year would have been a loss. Would have been an 8-3 loss. And especially after they gave up a goal with 0.1 second remaining in the second period, too.
Right.
And they still battle back. And this is like the 9th time that we've talked about this. That their ability to battle back, because almost all their overtime losses have come from crazy comebacks in the third period. So
they have, and thanks for mentioning that, because with 1 second left, that really could have been the backbreaker, because that was the goal to go up by 2, and we've seen them give up bad goals in the past, and the team just kind of disintegrates, but this team's different.
You could, like I said, you could see, again, you couldn't see this in the box score, but in the arena, Gillespie was giving it to Flores on the bench. It was when the away bench was switched, and it was 2-2 still, and the entire Guelph team was just giving it to Flores when everyone, it was in between shifts, so there wasn't any Ice Dog players around. And they get a kind of a screenshot to make it 3-2, and then that 0.1 second, and it's like, good Lord, that's an awful back-breaking goal to give up. They didn't go away, and it's just a testament to this team. I don't know what you can't quantify year over year what's different between this team and last team. There's a lot of player difference, obviously, but just mentality, it's far and away different.
Absolutely, and then we saw later in that third period after the Sobolev goal, this was a big one to get them, back in it as far as tying the game goes. Ethan Czata with his 4th goal of the season and 3rd in the last 2 games, 2nd of the night from Matthew Paris and Daniil Sobolev, and he brought the Meridian Center crowd on New Year's Eve to its feet. Just
a fun, again, getting pucks on net, slammed home a rebound with authority, and it's really fun. It's massive for the Ice Dogs team if Czata really comes on offensively. Obviously they're going to be a massive part. They're our core for the next few years, and Coach Boudreau comments on this in the postgame. But, Rubric is going to get his points, and he's going to come in bunches, and he's probably going to set some franchise records, maybe. He's in the position to do so. He's got all the opportunity in the world. Kevin has one of the best shots. And if Czata can become a great two-way forward that puts home 70 points, and start scoring offensively, it's going to be, really impressive. 70 might be a bit of a stretch, but, 40 to 50, and that would be massive for this team. Not to mention, we got to give some props to the draft class. Management put together the draft this year and had 4 rookies that have made the lineup basically the entire season. Gallianov had a bit of a stretch at the beginning of the year when everyone was healthy, but Gallianov is definitely a starter on the team now, and a very good one. And they nailed those draft picks.
Yeah, and shout out to Director of Scouting Adam Henrich, who said that Gallianov should have been a first-round pick and probably will make this team this year. He's making him look good with that. But then the Ice Dogs would get another goal, and this was a huge one at the time. Kevin He with his second of the night, 19th of the season from Ryan Robick and Ryan Van Netten. And that was a goal that gave the Ice Dogs a 5-4 lead. And, Kevin He, he's a respectful guy, but after the goal, he gave it to the Guelph bench coming through with that celebration. And, again, that can go one of two ways. That can, be good for your team, but it could also, you better keep your head up the next time you go out there for a shift.
No, absolutely. And first of all, he's about to crack it. He's almost into the top 10 in goals. I believe he is right now, into the top 10 in goals in the OHL. But that was a nice little toe drag wrister that made no mistake. And yeah, like I said, this team, it's got a lot of L's on the standings, but they're never going away. And they just let them know. They let Guelph know that they weren't. And I don't know what they said to Kevin. I don't know why. And maybe it's because he's, he's making some noise. That it was one of the better shots, and it's in his draft year, and he's more than likely going to get drafted. He's going to get drafted, but he just takes a ton of flack from the other team, and now he's becoming a lot more physical. So, which is really fun to watch.
Yeah, and he's starting to give it back too. So maybe he's showing scouts that he has that bite to his game, because we saw Kevin He, if there was a Lady Bing trophy in the OHL, I think he would have earned it last year because he was the most respectful player. And didn't really rub anybody the wrong way, but this year he's adding that bite to his game, which scouts want.
Well, it's funny because you can't tell. There's some players that hit a lot, and there's some players that hit hard, where you can't tell that they're just stronger than they look. And Kevin is just solid. Like every hit he lays, every check that he goes into, it's full force. Like it is, it's a ton of impact. And that sometimes he's been taking a few penalties. But that comes with the territory of playing with a little bit more edge. And obviously, I'll bet you any money that Czata looks a lot like that next year, because Zada's got a little bite to his game, and as a 16-year-old, that's probably the thing that comes last. When in the OHL when you enter in. And it'll be fun to watch next season, but Kevin's been great.
And then the Guelph Storm get a late power play, down a goal, down 5-4 after they led 4-2 in this game. Mm-hmm. And Maxim Mesnikov gets the goal. Jet Luchenko with one of the assists, 18:05 of the third period. This felt like a playoff game. I know these are cross-conference teams, but they played twice in the preseason. There was some chippiness going on there, and they played in Guelph already, but these teams don't like each other, and they showed it, a great back-and-forth game, and it ended, Mesnikov was able to get it to overtime there, and just didn't make it easy for the Ice Dogs.
No, and it was after, like I said, a long stretch of them just trying to kill the clock, it seemed. They definitely went into get to middle ice, dump it out, flip it in the air. And obviously against a very good team, they're going to keep coming at you. And then it ended up causing Wysick to take a penalty, and that was just kind of a mess. And after one time, we just ripped it by Flores. It was right above the faceoff dot, so not much you could do on that.
And then we get to overtime, 16 seconds into the extra frame. Ryan Robick cuts down the right wing underneath the goal line, cuts out in front, and the goalie makes a save for Guelph, but good on Andrew Wysick as the defenseman. He comes in there, pinches, and sees the loose puck kind of sitting there, and he's able to just kind of shovel that thing in and give the Ice Dogs a 6-5 win in overtime.
Guelph, and it's pushing her head on the plate. Stolen by Robick. Coming in. No, it's on the line. They score on the rebound. Andrew Wysick in overtime. And the Ice Dogs will rig in 2024 in style, beating Guelph 6-5.
Audio goal highlights are courtesy of YourTV. Catch the Ice Dogs at home and on the road on YourTV Niagara, exclusively on Cogeco.
We've seen a lot of overtimes this year, and they've mostly ended poorly. But every single one, they get a grade A chance that usually goes the wrong way. And I think it was Luchenko blew a tire, or the puck hopped over his stick. One of the weirdest giveaways. You will see, he's not being pressured, It literally was just him going to get the puck in the corner, and it hopped over a stick, and Rubrick had just a wide open lane into the net, made a nice move. Goalie made the stop on it. Slavic, he made a great save on it. And you're right, like it just kind of, he was in a spread eagle. Puck was right below him, didn't realize it. No one else came in, and Weissig, Johnny on the spot, just came to hammer it home. But I kind of thought that, there's our chance, and now here goes the other way. But great on him to finish it up. And Rubrick with a couple of assists, not just scoring goals. So good to see him step up, with a couple of assists as well.
Absolutely. So we'll be right back with more post-game analysis on the Dog Pound Podcast, the official podcast of your Niagara IceDogs, proudly brought to you by Global Pet Foods, where pets are undeniably part of the family.
Pets bring immense joy to our homes, becoming an integral part of our families. But this living, loving experience often requires a little extra care and attention. That's where Global Pet Foods comes in, with owners and staff ready to support you every step of the way. Check out one of their locations today. 3643 Portage Road in Niagara Falls, 160 Highway 20 in Font Hill, or 400 Scott Street and 344 Glendale Avenue in St. Catharines. Global Pet Foods, where pets are undeniably part of the family. Proud to sponsor the Dog Pound Podcast, the official podcast of the Niagara IceDogs.
Wild Bill's Auto Repair is your local center for auto maintenance and repair in the Niagara region. Since 2012, Wild Bill's Auto Repair and Body Shop has been helping customers stay safe and confident on the road, knowing their vehicles in top running condition through their services. Located at 7868 Oakwood Drive in Niagara Falls, the garage started as a tribute to the owner's father, William Robert Hunter, who passed away, continuing the same community spirit and high level of service which customers came to expect from him back at Hunter's Auto Repair. Their multi-award-winning auto shop has earned the trust of the Niagara community with its fair treatment of all customers, who can feel confident they'll get the trustworthy advice and repairs during their visit. Their experienced crew loves meeting new people and looks forward to forming a lasting partnership for the care of your cars. To find out more or to book service, contact them today. 905-358-7868 or wildbillsauto.ca. Wild Bill's Auto Repair, helping customers stay safe and confident on the road since 2012.
Niagara Golf Lounge features 2 state-of-the-art indoor golf simulators, allowing you to play some of the world's best courses all year round. The perfect place to indulge all season long. Don't worry about getting thirsty while you play around with your friends. Their fully stocked bar offers a wide selection of drinks, appetizers, and a variety of meals are also available to enjoy before, during, or after you play. Grab a seat next to the fire in their comfortable sports lounge. Didn't bring your clubs? No problem. They have partnered with TaylorMade to offer you the best rental clubs. You won't want to miss their exclusive NFL and NHL giveaways for the Buffalo Sabres and Buffalo Bills. Located in the Best Western Plus Karen Croft Hotel, 6400 Lundy's Lane in Niagara Falls. Visit NiagaraGolfVacations.com to learn more and to reserve your golf bay today. The Niagara Golf Lounge, Niagara's home for golf and sport all year round.
Since 1999, Niagara Denture Clinic has been helping thousands of patients achieve natural-looking smiles with the confidence to show them off. Sean Patel and his wife Anne, both licensed denturists, bring a wealth of skill and experience to the warm and friendly atmosphere to their Niagara Falls location at 5501 Drummond Road. And their on-site Niagara Hearing Clinic offers free hearing tests and a variety of services to fit your needs. This family-run practice takes pride in providing superior care and service to their patients, along with the best premium products available on the market. Get the best work done at a more reasonable price. Niagara Denture Clinic is here to help. Protect your teeth with a mouth guard, replace missing teeth, and get better hold with your dental implants. Call them today for a free consultation at 905-353-1552 or check them out online at NiagaraDentureClinic.com. Niagara Denture Clinic, creating natural smiles in the Niagara region for 25 years.
This is Kevin Heath.
This is Ethan Czata.
This is Zach Lavoie. It's Owen Floyd. You're listening to the Dog Pound Podcast, the official podcast of the Niagara IceDogs.
Welcome back to part 2 of today's Niagara IceDogs game recap following the 6-5 overtime win against the Guelph Storm here on New Year's Eve to close out the 2023 calendar. Cam Halbert and Brandon Caputo are with you guys. The Dog Pound Podcast is proudly brought to you by Global Pet Foods. Our pets are undeniably part of the family. Visit any 4 of their great Niagara region locations. Cam, before we get to head coach Ben Boudreau in the postgame, we know what's lingering January 10th and that this roster could look differently. We're going to talk about it on this week's monthly recap. a little bit more in depth with all three of us. But, despite what happened or what's happened with the roster lately and them getting all these guys back, they had upwards of 9 guys out of the lineup. Then you miss your top 3 centers, but a game like this shows that these young centers can do it. Do you see maybe because of a performance like this tonight that they have more confidence in knowing that even if they trade away a few more veterans, if that is the route that they want to go, that these young guys are ready for the task?
I mean, yeah, I think so. I mean, that was having them win this game. I still go back to that quote that head coach Ben Boudreau had after the Kitchener game, that now there is no excuses when they beat Kitchener with half a lineup, and that now there is no excuse for them to not win games regardless of the situation in the roster. And then they just beat Guelph with 3 16-year-old center, and that obviously the season is kind of getting away from them. It's a much better year than last year, even though, on paper it might not seem that, but it is, and they have some real pieces. And I think that a lot of tough decisions are probably going to have to be made by management because going into next year, I mean, we can already tell that there's a lot of spots for the 3 overage spots, and we'll have to wait and see. But the deadline is a great chance for them to acquire assets. And, hey, if they do anything half as good as what they did in the draft in the first 3 rounds last year, then any more picks, I'm all for it.
Well said. So we're going to get to our post-game with IceDogs head coach Ben Boudreau, and that's brought to you by Wild Bill's Auto Repair, helping customers stay safe and confident on the road in Niagara since 2012 in honor of the late William Robert Hunter. Here is IceDogs head coach Ben Boudreau following the 6-5 victory here on New Year's Eve.
Well, I mean, that's not how you would drop a win, but as far as the win goes and the way you came back, you got to be pretty happy with that.
Well, anytime you win, you're going to be really happy. But, especially in that fashion, I thought, our players played and they realized the momentum had shifted and they tried to take advantage of it. But we had lessons to learn throughout the game, especially in that second period. And you could see how we played as a team in the first and the third. And once we went individualistic in the second, it didn't work out like that. So it was a quick lesson that we can't play by ourselves, that we need to rely on our teammates, and when you play as a team, we're going to be as strong as we could possibly be.
Sure. And what does it say about the team to be able to come back after that second period? Because, after a bad period like that, things can go sour in a hurry.
It could have, and we saw that against Owens Howe, right? But the one thing that we have is a big heart with us, right? And we didn't give up, and we kept going. And we've talked about the resilience of this team, which is what the characteristics of each and every individual is. We quickly picked our heads up and dusted ourselves off and went back to work. And when you don't give up and you have that belief, that's a sign of people with big hearts. And so we found a way at the end of the day.
Excuse me.
Got to give credit to the kids in that room because I thought they battled as hard as they possibly could.
Absolutely. 2 games before the trade deadline. Is that something that kind of looms over the coaching staff and the players? Do you talk about it, or is it just, that's nothing you can control?
It's reality. Of course we talk about it. And, the players are well aware at the same time, too. We can't pretend that they're not. This is a business at the end of the day. And, there's a cycle with the OHL, and we all know what's going on. And, when you're out of the playoffs, sometimes teams want to try to sell off their assets so they can build for the future in the position that we're in. Typically that would happen. So, you call a spade, we'll see what happens. So we got a lot of conversations to have with the ownership and management right now and figure out what the best course going forward for the Niagara IceDogs so we can win consistently for years to come.
Absolutely. That's all I need. Thank you so much. All the best.
Appreciate it. Happy holidays.
Yeah, for you too.
Yeah. Vern, thanks very much.
Coach, can you talk about Ethan Czata? We just spoke to him for a player interview. Seems like he's got a lot of confidence right now, playing with a little bit of a swagger and finally seeing the results offensively. We know that he puts in a lot of 200-foot game, but 3 goals in the last 2 games, you got to be pleased with that.
Well, 100%, and that's what you see as a kid coming into his own right now, and that's you find a way to make mistakes, and then you start figuring out what you can and can't do without the puck. But the kid's a motivated kid right now, and we talked about getting his first one before the break, and that was going to open the floodgates, and this is the Ethan Czata that everybody expected him to be, and what you're seeing seeing right now is a kid coming right into his own in front of our own very eyes. So he had the 200-foot game. He's first over the boards on the penalty kill, finds himself on the power play, scoring 2 goals tonight, a goal in the power play last night. I mean, the kid's a player, and that's why he's drafted 5th overall. And, once he's got a little bit of experience under her belt, now he's taking advantage of it and playing not as cautious. The biggest thing outside of on the ice is he's a great character. He's a true hockey player. He's beloved in that room. He's going to be a big piece for this franchise going forward, and it's great to see him starting to have some individual success.
Without 3 of your top centers out, Bryant, Podolou, Asadorian, you put 3 16-year-olds out there as your top 3 centers. That's not easy to do in this league, but what have you been seeing from those 3 16-year-olds, Robrick, Czata, that we just mentioned, and Galyanov, that gave you the confidence that going up against a great Guelph Storm team that they were going to be able to hold their own there?
Yeah, I mean, when I talked to the management here this afternoon, I said what my plan is, because we've had a lot of changes in our lineup, right? Guys in or out, and it's tough to find consistency when you don't know who's in or out for any given night for the last 6 weeks. And so I said I'm going to plan to put the future of this organization on display in front of a big crowd. And I paired what should be our top 2 scorers in Rubrick and Kevin He, and then Czata is gonna end up being a great top 6 centerman, and you saw him in all situations tonight. And Galyanov is a perfect complement, especially on that third line, and he was phenomenal on the penalty kill tonight. So we do have confidence in those kids, and they're going to need time to grow, but the only way that they're going to grow is by having the opportunity to play and putting them in a position to succeed and fail, because the only way they're going to figure out what they can do is by failing. So you pat them on the back when they do, and you compliment when they do well. But to come out with a win with 3 16-year-old centers and a 17-year-old center, I think is nothing short of amazing. So it was great to see that here tonight.
And lastly, not a good game in Owen Sound. A pretty good game in Erie last night. Just bounces didn't go your way there, and then you come out with the win tonight. Is there some silver lining in the fact that you won the last game of the 3-game week? Kevin, he's been catching fire again. 8 goals in 11 games. That one last night was big in Erie, and then scores 2 goals tonight. So are you seeing some of these younger players that you talk about emerging, despite going through some trials and tribulations, that the positive, outweighs the negative there?
Yeah, 100%. This is going to be our core, right? And as much as we want to win right now, I mean, I'm here for the foreseeable future. So it's all about building these guys and surrounding them with support and putting them in situations to learn. And, when one guy goes down, another guy steps up, and that's an opportunity for our young guys to take advantage. So, my thought process with all of that, you take the good with the bad, but I know this, you're only as good as your last game right now in 2023. We went out on a high note, so we're going to take that into the new year, hopefully find some momentum.
Thanks, Coach. Happy New Year. We'll see you next week.
Thank you, guys.
Cam, a lot of good thoughts there from the IceDogs head coach. Very honest about where the organization is going into January 10th. Wanted to put those young players on display for what the future of this team is going to look like, and they definitely showed out tonight.
No, exactly, and I think that him touching on, that Rubrick and Kevin He are his best offensive weapons, put them together, and I think he nailed it with Czata being a top 6 centerman in the league. And I appreciate the candidness that he always comes with whenever he speaks to the media, and there's a lot more hope this year. It feels a lot less like them trying to just piece it together. There's a plan in place, and I'm really excited to see what the future holds for him.
I mean, he talked about those young centers and talked about the future and putting them together. He talked about putting Robrick and Kevin He together. We've talked about it, for the first half of the season, about putting those guys together and seeing what sticks as far as those top-end goal scorers, who's gonna be the shooter. But it seems like the head coach is not afraid to put 2 of your best sharpshooters together on the same line, given that the other third complementary piece can either get you the puck or get in the corner to grind away at it.
Well, I mean, tonight he literally put the 3 most offensive-minded players in terms of shooting on the same line. I mean, he had Lavoie on the other side, right? So I think that, this is probably out of necessity. If everyone's healthy, the lineup probably doesn't look like that. But if this is any indication, as long as you've got 3 guys that can all score anytime that they have the puck, it's not necessarily going to work with having too many shooters, not like the NBA. I think that there's an opportunity where all 3 of them will have the puck in the offensive zone, and all of them have a great chance to score.
And Kevin He, 8 goals in his last 11 games. He's really caught fire. He's up to 19 now. He had 21 last year, which was a 16-year-old rookie record, tying Akil Thomas for the franchise lead in that. But again, he was a guy that got off to a slow start, but has really shown out lately and showing why he deserves to go up that central scouting list when the next ranking comes out.
Well, absolutely. Not only like I mentioned earlier in the episode, like physically he is just dominant. And you wouldn't think to look at his stature. Like he is very hard on the puck and when he finishes his checks, and then he has one of the best shots. Like he has scored some goals that have no business going in. That aren't just floaters at the net. They are missiles with a puck-sized hole, and a lot of them have come from the goal line. His ability is only growing, and on top of that, like you talk about Rubric a little bit, like that rookie record as a 16-year-old in serious jeopardy because Rubric is on pace to break it. And had he not missed 5 games early in the season, he might be even closer. But he's already got 11. Kevin was on pace. We did an episode, I think, at the beginning of November, middle of November, and he was on pace for like 36 points. Just to kind of point how hard of a season it was in the first 6 weeks of the year, and now he's on pace for 60 as of today. So he has really come alive in his last 20 games, which is great. And I think that as the season goes along, it only improves his draft stock. I think he came out in the 5th round, I believe in the first 5th to 7th round in terms of draft spot from Central Scouting. I can't see it being that low anymore.
No, absolutely not. Great points there with Kevin He. But we'll get to our IceDogs feature player interview tonight, brought to you by the Niagara Denture Clinic. Creating natural smiles in Niagara for 25 years. If you forgot to bring your mouthguard on the ice or lost a chiclet, contact our licensed team of denture professionals in Niagara Falls to get your smile back on track. It is with IceDogs rookie Ethan Czata following his 2-goal night.
Here with IceDogs rookie Ethan Czata. Ethan, last 2 games, 3 goals in 2 games. What's been working for you right now? Almost doubling your total for the whole season.
Just confidence, really. Just getting to the net, just putting them in.
Yeah, what did you feel about tonight? Like, that's a tough team over there. Seems like you guys have a little animosity. You played them twice in the preseason, and then you played them up in Guelph. Was that a big one? There seemed like a lot of stuff going on between the. There was a lot of stuff going on between the benches. Was that kind of fired you guys up there? The fact that that there was a lot going on there.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of chit-chatting back and forth, and I think that just gave us more confidence to win the game.
How did you feel about your 2 goals? I mean, going hard to the net, making sure that you got in the right position. Just how good did that feel for you? Obviously, you talked about your offensive game, taking another step when you came back from Team Canada. Just how did it feel to start finally putting those in?
Oh, it feels great. It's been a while since I scored before, and now it's just coming.
How was Christmas? Was Santa good to you this year? What did you get under the tree?
Santa was great. I was waiting for William Stewart under the tree, but I didn't get him. But it's all right.
How did you feel like your line tonight? They're putting you guys out there. The 3 young 16-year-olds are out there on center right now. With you're missing some of your key guys. So how did you welcome that challenge of going out there and you talk about being a 200-foot center and doing whatever it takes to win? So you're finally getting that opportunity at center. How did it feel?
Feels great. It feels great that the coach trusts me, trusts all the rookies, really. It's unreal.
Ethan Czata, congratulations on the 2 goals. Happy New Year, and we look forward to seeing you next week.
Thank you.
IceDogs forward Ethan Czata keeps it short and sweet, Cam. But, again, I don't think he wants to toot his own horn, but you can tell just by the way that he, went his confidence level, he's oozing with, he looks like a different player. He's standing up a little higher right now, and you can definitely see it in his all-around game.
No, for sure. And I remember early on in the year, remember he had a couple fights? Like it was, and which was so surprising for someone that was a rookie in the OHL. But you can definitely tell that in his last, 15 games, he's definitely gotten a lot more confidence. And some players don't always succeed when they are given more responsibility. He is definitely not one of them. And, Coach Boudreau touched on it. That he's going to be relied upon to have a bigger role, and I think he's ready for it.
He absolutely is. And before we get out of here for New Year's Eve ourselves, we're going to put Cam on the spot with our player of the game, brought to you by the Niagara Golf Lounge, Niagara's home for golf and sport year-round, located in the Best Western Carencroft Hotel in Niagara Falls. Visit NiagaraGolfVacations.com to learn more, to host an event, or to book your golf bay today. Cam, you got a lot of options tonight. I'll go over it quickly. Kevin He, 2 goals. Ethan Czata, 2 goals. Daniil Soblev, a goal and 2 assists. Andrew Wysick with the OT winner. Mike Levin with a couple of points. You got a lot of places you could go with this tonight.
Sobolev was definitely the most impactful all the way around, but I'm going to give it to the aforementioned Ethan Czata. I think that he looked great offensively. The team needed him to step up. He filled a second-line center role as a 16-year-old with his strongest game probably from start to finish. Was on the penalty kill, all of it, and handled it very, very well. So I'm going to give it to Ethan Czata.
Yeah, honorable mention to Neil Sobolev, though.
Yeah,
we didn't really talk about him, but he was throwing his body around all night long and really took it to the Guelph Storm.
Absolutely. It was impressive, and he has been one of the most fun to watch from a physical end, and it was good to see him kind of put a point on the year with a big 3-point showing.
So that's going to wrap up today's Niagara IceDogs game recap on the Dog Pound Podcast, the official podcast of your Niagara IceDogs. Proudly brought to you by Global Pet Foods, where pets are undeniably part of the family. Visit any 4 of their great Niagara Region locations. Cam, thanks a lot for doing this. I guess Happy New Year by the time this episode comes out, and look forward to this week's upcoming game recap.
Absolutely. Happy New Year, my man, and to all the listeners out there, hope you have a safe one.
Absolutely. We'll talk to you again next Friday night following the Owen Sound attack. The IceDogs will want to get revenge on Owen Sound for what happened up there this past weekend. So until next Friday, for Cam Halbert, my name is Brandon Caputo. Make sure you're following the podcast on X at Dog Pound Podcast. And thank you to those listening today in on-demand audio. So until next time, this has been another Dog Pound Podcast game recap on the Armchair GM Sports Network. Happy New Year, everyone.